Soldiers are voting early because they'll be busy on election day making sure voting booths are secure. Security is a huge concern for many voters, but it tops the list for those living in the coastal city of Ashkelon. Tom Ackerman reports.
Just north of the Gaza Strip is the city of Ashkelon, a frequent target of Hamas rockets less than 2 months ago. Today, there's barely a visible reminder of the fighting here, but security is still foremost on the minds of most voters.
Security is the number one thing with us, because we're surrounded by all kinds of people who want to attack us and make our lives difficult in this country.
What did the missiles and all the other stuff we had a month and a half ago do? I'm a businessman, and the 2 stores we had were closed for a week. Our work was cut in half.
Many people here were disappointed that the government didn't pursue its military offensive until it drove Hamas out of Gaza. But on the eve of the election, that sentiment doesn't seem to have hurt Netanyahu's re-election prospects. The ceasefire with Hamas is still holding. Last month was the first in some 20 years without a single missile or rocket fired into Israel. So Netanyahu has neutralized security as a target issue for his challengers. The Likud leader benefited from the performance of the U.S.-financed Iron Dome missile defense system, which blocked all but a handful of Hamas rockets from hitting civilian targets. And Netanyahu takes credit for a new fence along the border with Egypt to deter those he calls infiltrators, most of them actually economic refugees from the Horn of Africa. But Netanyahu and his rivals have said very little about what he's called the country's most serious strategic threat. The Prime Minister has not laid out what he would do if Iran's nuclear enrichment program reaches what Israeli officials have called the zone of immunity from airstrikes. Israeli strategic analyst Ashkelon Dror doesn't believe that Netanyahu is in any hurry to act after the elections.
So it depends on intelligence estimates. If the more credible intelligence estimates say that there's more time, that the Iranians are not in a rush, as they also have sanctions and other things to consider, then the timetable moves.
According to a recent public opinion survey, only 38% of Israelis support an attack on Iran, even fewer if it is executed without U.S. backing. That reluctance may be just one factor Netanyahu will have to consider if, as expected, he leads the next government. Tom Ackerman, Al Jazeera, Ashkelon, Israel.